I'll say this about Toby, right? Toby. Here's what makes Toby the evil character that I believe that he is. It's not so much that he's a bad person or that he will treat you badly. He will, if it either entertains him, right? So if it pleases him, he's one of those emperors, He will fucking destroy his own family if it were to get in the way of his plan. So what happened was Toby saw the 72 minutes, and he came out of it and he said that he loved it, but that he felt like it was too real. And as a matter of fact, I've named the book after this moment because this is the big turning point
You
in
said it was
everything for
too
Don's
real,
Plum. Too
but isn't it?
real.
It's like a
The
slice
film.
of life. That's like the ultimate. I mean, if I was the director producer of that, I'd be like, well, you've just given me the best fucking compliment you could give me, right?
Well, we were thrilled, to be
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
About we were absolutely. We're like, okay, great. He was like, oh, yeah. If you can watch Don's Plum and objectively say that you're not moved emotionally one way or another, then I think you're going in with a bias. I think you're going in there with. I think most people, whether you like the film or not, are going
It's
to come
gonna
out of it
invoke
moved.
some sort of feeling for
It
sure.
fuck.
Yeah.
It's a movie that does that. It
Yeah.
doesn't fuck around. Yeah. But so it fucking blew him away. He said it was too real, but he loved it. He said, and he would look forward to seeing the completed product. But he was at that point. So I learned later, months later, after Toby had returned. Oh no. Actually, it wasn't months later. I learned uh, days later, I guess, uh, at the rap party. I think it was Scott Bloom came to me and told me that Toby had been spreading like rumor type things, rumor milling about Don's Plum, about us, you know, uh, being kind of shady characters about it. They're hiding it. They're gonna bone us. They're gonna fuck us over.
And this is
All kinds of
after
stupid
this is
shit.
after him seeing it, right?
This is after him seeing it and after him shooting the second shoot.
Yeah.
So it was all very strange.
Yeah.
He came and showed up for the second shoot, and unbeknownst to us, he had already been rumor milling about creating sort of shady perceptions of us. It was very strange, but I confronted him because I was never one to shy from that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Fucking talking about me, I'm fuck you. So I confronted him. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, I'm not doing shit. We're just working on a fucking movie. What is wrong with you?" And so we had this sort of tense exchange, and and this was public too. It was like at a bar in front of everybody. Because I just fucking Scott told me I walked right into the bar. I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude? You know, we just showed you the film and you said you fucking loved it, and now I hear you're talking shit behind our
Yeah.
backs. Like, what the fuck are you doing?" And then oh no, no, we had this big, and he patched it up, and it was all supposed to be good. But it was there that I realized, it was in that moment that I realized that Tobey Maguire had, and that Don's Planet had somehow shifted. And you can almost feel it. I mean, I could. And that's, by the way, the name of the book. The book is called Too Real: A Hollywood
So what had
Memoir.
what had you felt specifically had shifted there? The narrative surrounding Don's Plum and the release of it, or just you felt like something in the friendship had shifted? What was the shift you felt at that time?
Like in the energy around it, like there was, up until that point, I felt like there was nothing but optimism, really. I mean, there was that cloud that hung over it from Leo, but everyone wanted this film to work, including Toby, up until this big break in Ice Storm. And I need to add a little something to that in a second, but everybody else, Connolly and everybody else, was really fucking excited about this movie. And so or at least the potential that this movie, sort of represented. And what I wanted to say about Toby was that, the big difference for me, and this isn't confirmed, this is my conjecture, but I believe it's good conjecture. Uh, it was in 1995 that James Cameron announced that he was going to make Spider-Man. You can go look this up.
Yeah, no, I remember reading
In
about
19
this.
in 1995, James Cameron said that technology had finally gotten to the point where he felt like he could make the movie. And so he attached himself to Spider-Man in
There's
1995.
a Spider-Man
And
James Cameron script floating about, I'm pretty sure, online.
I'll bet that's true
Yeah.
then. Yeah. Well, I remember this very well. I remember it happening.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until later that I realized that, holy fuck, Toby is a long play dude. He's an excellent strategist. He's smarter than most, and he's a long play dude. Always a long play. I mean, he and I were very, very close, like very, 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 very close. And I knew Toby very well, and he's, like I say, he's a long play. And it wasn't until years later that I realized, oh fuck, Don's plan. He said too real. Don's Plum, James Cameron. Here's what I know about James Cameron. I don't know James Cameron personally, but I know, I have many circles. We have like 1 degree for many years, he and I. And my brother worked for James Cameron. My brother drew for him. So a degree from this guy for a while. James Cameron would not have hired Tobey Maguire if Don's Plum came out. I think that's true. I think that he would not have allowed Peter Parker to have any kind of pre-image like that. That would have been too important to that character.
think you're probably right. Yeah.
I'm very confident in that conjecture. Yeah, and I'm glad you agree, because I do think it's kind of obvious when you look at James Cameron's body of work, and when you look at him as a principal filmmaker. He's a highly principled filmmaker.
And the thing is, at that point, someone like James Cameron hasn't got enough of Tobey or to see. I mean, that would have been one of the things. It would have been one of 3 things or one of 4 things. So it's like that would have been a prominent thing. It's just that. I totally agree. There would have been no chance that he would have watched Don's Plum and at the end of it gone, "That's my Peter Parker."
Exactly right. And I believe
Tobey knew that, I reckon, right?
Tobey knew it. Eric Kranzler knew
his agent, right?
His manager. Okay. Eric, his agent, and that's the only person who saw it with Tobey on that day.
So it all goes back to that too real comment. It's basically a nice way of him putting, like, I mean, it's not him saying he doesn't like his character, but the way, I mean, if you watch the film, they don't pull any punches, the things they're talking about, the way they're talking about things. No. I mean, is it his way of saying people won't be able to distinguish this is me or my character?
Yeah, that was his concern.
Okay.
But to me, it wasn't. To me, his concern was really that James Cameron will not be able to look at me in the face and give me that fucking role.
Right.
Because he knew that, Spider-Man would change his life forever, right? He knew that. Anybody would. Biggest fucking comic book hero besides Superman, right?
So he's being linked with Spider-Man in James Cameron's project at this time, or is that something that's like being rumored?
That's conjecture on my part. I don't believe that. Okay. I don't believe they didn't talk about it ever. Right. I never heard Spider-Man come out of either Eric's or Tobey's mouth. But it wasn't until later that I put it together, because it didn't make sense. And people have been fucking decades saying, "Why, Dale? Why?" And I was like, I don't fucking know why Tobey did it. I still don't know why Tobey did it, to be true. Right? To be fair, I don't know why Tobey did it, but let's figure something out about it, because, like, why was he so compelled? Why would he be willing to destroy? Look, Tobey. I'll say this about Tobey, right? Tobey. Here's what makes Tobey the evil character that I believe that he is. It's not so much that he's a bad person or that he will treat you badly. He will, if it either entertains him, right? So if it pleases him, he's one of those emperors, and or if he needs to remove you or change something fundamentally to his advantage. And
right.
if
those two things happen, he's obviously ruthless in the way that
he will fucking destroy his own family if it were to get in the way of his plan. And as I said earlier, he's a long play guy. He does not deviate from his plans unless it leads to better outcomes. And so I mean, there's just no doubt in my mind that the play that because it didn't make sense. Tobey was not only excited, he was begging for more back end participation in Don's Plum. I was in a car with him driving. We went and saw City of Lost Children. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but it was just, oh God, see that movie, Jack. So we saw this movie that it just come out in art house theaters. We went and saw it. You'll love it, I think. I'm not going to tell you anything. It's just not worth spoiling. It's so worth it.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
So we went and saw City of Lost Children together, just him and I. He picks me up in the fucking red Toyota, and off we go. He's driving me home, and he says to me, what happens if it makes $20 million? I said, what? He goes, what happens if Don's Plum makes $20 million? I said, that's fucking ridiculous. He goes, how much are you going to get paid if Don's Plum makes $20 million? Because all my money's in the back end. There's no fucking money up front, in the $40,000 budget. I was like, I make a lot of money, I make good money. And he's like, how much do you make? And he's just pressing. I was like, Tobey, it's a stupid conversation because Don's Plum is not going to make $20 million. That's ridiculous. Well, little did I know that he actually knew. He knew what was going to happen. Or he at least knew what could happen, I should say. Not what was going to, but what could. First of all, Leo had never had any box office success at that point. Never.
Right.
So there was nothing to count on.
Yeah, it's important for people to remember this is pre-Titanic, right?
It's pre-Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
He had nothing, zero. He had no success. I think all of the movies that he actually starred in had a combined $3 million box office. Like he had nothing in the box office.
Yeah.
His fame was coming off of the Oscar nomination and then the video releases of This Boy's Life and Was Eating Gilbert Grape primarily,
Yes.
right? So that was his career. That was the career I knew him under. Quick and the Dead was like, whatever. It was a quick summer pop, but it didn't do any real money.
No.
And he wasn't the star of that movie. He was a co-star of that movie. So he was a supporting actor. So there was no reason to believe that Don Plum was going to make money. None. The only reason to believe that Don Plum was going to make money is comparing it to other independent films that were. So you could compare it to Kids and say maybe. And the problem with that, when you did that, was that we had made the dire mistake of, they call it, we didn't, of filming in black and white. We wanted to hold a mirror up to society and say, this is you, this is me, this is everybody, and we're all fucked, but in the end, we're all going to be okay. And we felt that if we did that in black and white, that would allow these other older generations to come in, that it would neutralize this generation from the former generation.
And you consider that a big mistake now, the whole black and white?
No, fuck, I would never change it.
I didn't. Right.
No, this movie, but that was how the distributors viewed
That's the
it
way
as a
they
mistake,
viewed it.
right?
Okay.
So they couldn't compare it to Kids. They're going to say Kids made $30 million, but you have a black and white movie. People don't want to see black and white fucking movies. That was there, and in support of that, Clerks did not have a great big theatrical run at all. It did a few million. I think it did 5 million or something. It did massive video.
Yeah, huge.
But it didn't do huge. So there was more evidence that they were right about that than we were about us believing that we could do better work or better money in the box office. But Tobey Maguire knew, man. He threw that $20 million mark out. He squeezed out. I told him I'd become a millionaire. And Tobey is the most competitive person I've ever met in my life. I've never met, but viciously competitive. And little did I know that I'd given him information that told him that it's possible that me, the Canadian basically illegal alien, I was actually what they call out of status, but I had no working papers, right? I'm working for $180 a week, right? I'm living in a guy's apartment, living on his couch while I'm making a Leonardo DiCaprio fucking movie, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this was Dale Wheatley. This was the person who Tobey paid for my movie that night. I was broke and I was struggling and I was an artist and it was this great American story.
So what do you think went through Tobey's mind when he heard you say that sentence of like how much it would make you?
You're not going to make $1 million before I'm making $1 million.
Right. That's like straight.
Son,
yeah. Like fuck this.
I've known Leonardo DiCaprio since we were 16. Son,
yeah.
You're not getting no fucking $1 million before I get my money.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. I had no idea because I was warned of this by Jeremy Sisto before I moved to America. Before I moved to America, Jeremy was like, I'm just going to warn you right now that the place is entirely competitive. And I was like, oh, well, my specialty is bringing people together. This is my specialty. This is what I do. And I make people come together and feel like we can do things together. And it really is my specialty. It's why I'm a really good producer, or at least a decent one. But anyway, fucking that's that end. And so Tobey saw the 72-minute cut, said it was too real, went about his business believing, and we believing that he supported the film because he told us so, and that he would stand behind any decision that Leo made. And so come that screening 3 or 4 months later, as it were. And so great, that's sort of where we are in your questions.